Hello everyone, and welcome to our Adwords strategy webinar today. We'll be getting started here shortly. We have a few more people joining us, so we'll give them just a moment to get signed in. Okay, just another minute and we will be ready to begin. Welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today. My name is Christina, and I will be introducing your speaker in just a moment. We know your time is valuable, and we have exciting content lined up for you over the next 30 minutes that you'll be able to apply to your business. To get things started, I want to make sure that everyone has audio and video. Please use the chat box to let us know if you have any video issues. And for anyone having audio issues, you can't hear me, so let me put this slide up for just a moment. Let me start by telling you about Atria Media Group. We are a full-service online marketing firm that specializes in Google AdWords management and SEO. We do everything from Facebook ads, Bing, and anything Google related, but our main focus is AdWords. We are a Google partner and can be found in the Google partner listings. Feel free to check us out at google.com/partners. You can also find us by searching for a partner and typing in Atria Media Group. Being a Google partner means that we meet Google's criteria in terms of best practice, certifications, ad revenue managed, and tenure. They include us in their partnership program based on our high performance, which gives us access to different beta programs and insights that a normal advertiser would not have access to. Here at Atria Media Group, we are proud of our transparency, customer satisfaction, and focus on ROI. We don't want our clients to pay for cheap traffic, but the right traffic, because that's what brings in revenue for our clients. We bridge the gap for small businesses that can't justify a full-time AdWords professional in-house, but still need to compete with larger businesses with larger budgets. The consultant who will be guiding you today is Evan Van Dyke. Evan is AdWords certified and very experienced, not just in paid advertising platforms, but SEO as well. He has been working in online marketing for over 5 years and has managed millions of dollars of ad revenue. I'll now turn the time over to Evan.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Christina. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today, and thank you for taking part of your day to spend some time with us. I hope that over here the next 25 minutes or so, my objective is to make sure that everyone gets some good quality information and a clear picture on how to improve their AdWords account. So we'll jump right into it. And first off, let me start by just kind of going over who ideally this is for. A lot of individuals are kind of at different stages when it comes to AdWords management. Some individuals, they've never run an AdWords account or just getting an idea, whereas others are have been doing this for years and years. Really, who this is going to be a best fit for is individuals that meet the following criteria. So currently, you're spending money in AdWords, and you've been spending at least $1,000 a month for the last several months, all the way up to several years, or you could be spending up to several tens of thousands of dollars. Really, the takeaway is you need to be spending some money in AdWords and have some experience so you're familiar with some of the concepts that we'll be going through today. Also, you want to be growing your business. AdWords is a great platform to help you to get additional traffic and to get that traffic quickly. And so, again, this is going to be ideal for somebody that is looking to take their business to the next level, and AdWords is a great platform to be able to do that. Also, if AdWords is your financial responsibility, we work with a lot of business owners and sole proprietors that they run the day-to-day AdWords management themselves. Some individuals will have in-house employees, or they may be working with an agency. But the reason why it's important that you're financially invested into AdWords on this particular call is because we're going to give you some examples on how you can determine quickly if your AdWords account is working well for you, or if there's any glaring pieces of waste that you need to either coach your team around or find a better fix for. And then also, if you're overwhelmed or stuck with your marketing when it comes to your website, whether you're running your website as an e-commerce website, a lead generation website, or for local presence. But a lot of people get stuck. They just don't know what to do because the internet is a big place. So we're here to provide some help on that and getting the proper marketing to your site. And then also, if you're spending too much for new customers, we do have a lot of individuals that we help when they come they come in contact with us. They are seeing sales or leads or whatever the objective is on their website, but they're not happy with the cost. It's just too much. So if you feel that you're spending too much, or the numbers show you that you're spending too much, we'll be able to go through a few different pieces here today that will help you to be able to identify how to bring those costs down. And then also, again, if you need direction and need a little bit of a fresh sight and a new set of eyes. So the objective on the call today is what we want to be doing is we want to understand why and how to track your data properly inside of AdWords. That's going to be a conversation that we'll have here in a moment about conversion tracking. And then also, we're going to review how to properly structure your account so that you can identify those areas and help you to reduce cost and increase your profitability. We're also going to review how to identify low-hanging fruit. And by the end of the call, I want to make sure that everybody is taking notes during the call, so that at the end of the call, you can have an actionable list on what to do next, on how to improve your account. And then also, we want to make sure that you can take your AdWords account to the next level of profitability. We don't want to just be doing AdWords optimizations to be doing them. There needs to be clear purpose to them. And so that's what we want to make sure that we're covering today. So the agenda, again, I realize we've got about 25 minutes here or so. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share a quick case study with you to give you an idea as far as what some of these best practices, what they could potentially do for you. We'll review conversion tracking in detail, account structure, quality scores, and how that affects your cost. We'll review A/B ad split testing and keyword strategies. There's quite a bit that goes into that. And then also your search terms as well, how to evaluate your search terms, find those search terms, and what a search term actually is. So starting with a case study, this is one of our existing clients, and I won't be sharing any specifics in terms of their name or who they are or their website, because we'll be sharing some personal numbers from the account with their permission, but they've asked for us to keep the rest of their information confidential. I'll be sharing some screenshots that will show you the numbers there. But needless to say, they're an e-commerce store in the apparel industry. Now, the individual that we work with, they're a small business owner, and they were actually the person that was running the AdWords account. They had been running it for about 6 months without any help other than what they were able to find online, a few videos here and there. I believe they had talked to a consultant just kind of get some extra input. And during that time, they had spent $16,000 and they had barely broken even. Luckily, they hadn't lost any money yet, but it really wasn't a way to be able to grow a business. And paid ads, or AdWords, was their primary source of traffic. So they were very reliant, and it was critical that AdWords was working well, especially in the beginning stages of their business. So to show you a little bit of an idea, again, this is their account that they were running for that first 6 months, and I know this number is probably a little bit small here, but just over $16,000. Again, speaking specifically of the client themselves, technology and data analysis, they look at it more of a necessity. It's not something that they really enjoy or excel at. And also, they had very limited time. They kind of look at AdWords that it's just one more thing to do on their list because they're very busy, from ordering new products, putting up new pictures on their e-commerce websites, fulfilling orders, customer service, managing employees, all those different things. So just not a lot of time to be spending in AdWords, even though it was critical. And again, only breaking even on their investment. They couldn't really figure out how to grow their business effectively. They knew that AdWords was a great place to get some traction, and they knew that they were close, but just couldn't quite get that last little portion of it figured out. And they were quite overwhelmed with all the different options and advisement that was on the internet. There wasn't anything that was specifically clear for them. So what we did is we scheduled a one-on-one coaching call. Essentially what we did is we jumped into their AdWords account and reviewed everything top to bottom for them. And what we were able to find was there were a lot of wasteful search terms, which again we'll go into more detail here in a little bit as far as what search terms are, how to identify those and review them. We also identified that the budget wasn't being managed properly, in that they had multiple campaigns and their most profitable campaigns were being limited by budget, and the ones that weren't as profitable, they had a lot more budget that they were trying to spend there. So there was some allocation that definitely needed to change. Other things, they had multiple analytics codes on their site, and that was causing confusion with the data. They didn't have remarketing implemented, and also they had low click-through rates, and that was hurting their quality score, which overall was increasing their costs. So quickly we were able to identify some of those basic things and make some changes. So the first thing that we did was we fixed their codes on their website, so that way we could make sure that we have nice, clean, clear data. So if you're using analytics or any other type of data, it's critical that you do have data that is easy to read so that you can look at that and determine what's happening with your traffic, where is the profitability happening, so that you can focus around that and optimize around that. Then also we optimized their bid structure. We made sure that their budgets were allocated properly. We made sure that individual keywords were being bid on properly, so their max cost per click that they were willing to spend based on profitability. Other areas that we looked at is we found profitable areas so that we could reallocate budgets. We started removing wasteful search terms, so whether that's removing a keyword or a group of keywords or an ad group altogether, or implementing additional negative keywords, we were able to get through there and clean up that waste for them. And then we implemented remarketing. So in case you're not aware of what remarketing is fantastic if you have if your customers are individuals that take a little while to shop around, or if they're repeat customers. Ultimately, what remarketing does is if somebody visits your website, regardless of how they get there, a cookie is placed on their browser. So after they leave, whether it be a day or a week or months later, you can continue to show your ads to them, and you're able to target them based on their interest of coming to your website previously. Additionally, we revamped their ads. They had ad copy that just wasn't really that compelling to get people to click on their ads, and then obviously we want them to turn into conversions, but we first need to get them to the website. So we went through every single ad group and revamped all of those for them, and then we also researched and added additional negative keywords and new keywords, and then we're constantly A/B testing all of their ads for them. So essentially what we're doing is we're always improving the existing ad copy that we have, and ad groups as well. So how did this all turn out? So essentially the results after 6 months. So again, the business owner had been running it 6 months by themselves. Then we came in and we started to help them by implementing some of the best practices that we'll be reviewing here today. And this is what happened. So as you can see, our management began at the top of the orange line here. The orange line is their cost per converted click. So this line you want low. That means you're spending less for every conversion or every purchase in their case. The blue line is their conversions. So this is how many sales they're actually getting. So we came in and we started managing and saw some drastic reduce in costs because we eliminated the waste. Once we were able to bring that down a bit, we were able to start refocusing and bringing up their conversions. So when you look at the 6 months prior to the 6 months from when we started managing it, cost per conversions when they were managing it was $44.23. Since then, this last 6 months, we've been averaging $8.56. Now, with that same budget, they were able to pick up 309 conversions, whereas we were able to pick up 1,323 conversions. So you think about that in an e-commerce business. Assume that their average sale is anywhere from $100 to $200 with a 30% margin. If you can spend the same amount of money and increase your sales, over 4 times without having to do anything different, what a difference that's going to make for your business. But at the end of the day, who really cares, right? What does this have to do with you guys? So the reason why I wanted to paint that picture for you a little bit is how can we get the same type of results and how can you achieve the same type of results? So I'm going to walk you through exactly what it is that we do here at Atria Media and how we put the right pieces in place so that you can see success over and over again and continue to optimize your account so that you can stay ahead of your competition. And the first piece is conversion tracking. Now, it always surprises me with individuals or businesses that have been running AdWords for a long time that don't have conversion tracking in place. This is one of the most critical pieces when it comes to AdWords. It's the foundation of your home, right? You wouldn't start building your home without a solid foundation. So briefly, what conversion tracking is think about your business and your website. What are you trying to do with your website? We don't really care if people go to your website if there is not an action that takes place. So if you're in a service industry, ultimately what you want people to do is you want them more than likely to give you a phone call. If you have online sales, you want people to put their credit card in and purchase something. If you are collecting information and phone numbers and emails, things like that, you're collecting leads. All of those sort of things are going to be a conversion for you, and they have value to them. And AdWords makes it very simple for you to be able to track that data. So it's critical that you set up conversion tracking inside of AdWords so that you can get that data nearly immediately. What this is going to do is it's going to give you information down to basically the keyword level. It's going to tell you where people were located, when they converted, or when they filled out your form or purchased, or whatever it is that your objective is, or when they gave you a call. So it's critical that you get that piece put in place. And then it's also critical that you determine what your target cost per conversion is. So in other words, if you are, say you're selling sneakers and your average sale is $100 and you have a 30% margin, so you make $30 on that. Well, you definitely don't want to be spending over $30 in AdWords to make that sell, because you just break even, which obviously that's no good. But also it's not realistic for you to only spend 5 cents. It would be great, but we want to make sure that we have realistic numbers, what you're willing to spend on a sell. If you can turn Google into a machine, your Google AdWords account, and you kind of look at it like if you found a machine that you could give it $1 and you get $20 back, that's a 20 times return. Whatever that number is, you want to make sure you have that determined so that you can optimize around that, because what will happen is you can look at your data. If you know what's coming in as a conversion, you'll be able to see what your cost per conversion is, and it makes it much quicker and easier to be able to identify what's working well for you and what's not, what's profitable and what's not. So to give a little bit better example of how this works, with conversion tracking, ultimately someone types in your one of your keywords and your ad shows up and they click on it. So now they go to your website and they submit either a form or they purchase something. Let's say they purchase, and then it takes them to a thank you page or a payment confirmation page. That is where you want your conversion tracking code to be placed. Then from there, it's going to take that data and it's going to report it back to AdWords, so that way you can have a full, complete picture of what's going on with your traffic. So then you can identify what's just getting you clicks and what's actually getting you revenue. So that's a very important thing. Make sure that you do have conversion tracking set up first. Now, account structure is another critical piece here. And what we're going to review here is we're going to just kind of go over what a campaign controls, different campaign types, bid strategies, budgets, geo-targeting, and ad rotation. I'll go into a little bit more detail of what each of those are. But ultimately, think of campaigns as where you make different controlling levers. Then inside of your campaigns is where you're going to house your ad groups, which that's going to control your ads and your keywords that are within there. So first piece is different types of campaigns. Now, within AdWords, you can create search campaigns, which those are the ones that most of us are familiar with, where you type in a keyword, ad results populate. Then there's also display campaigns, and these are going to be different. You're not targeting people by keywords per se, but you're targeting them based on content on a website. You're targeting them based on the interest of that user. So, and these are going to show up, display campaigns, sometimes people refer to them as banner ads. So think of when you're on a website and you see an ad for another website. You weren't actively searching for it, but you should be seeing stuff that's relevant to either your user behavior or the content that's on the page. So you can control all those different pieces. You can also, there's small little tweaks that you can make inside of here if you want to get more advanced and have all the features versus standard. We won't go into that on this call, but you can get much more granular with the types of settings that you want to have for your campaign itself. Now, bid strategy, this is another one that I see a lot of people make a mistake on. So if you're not paying attention, this is a good spot to pay attention to. Individuals who just set up an AdWords account and let everything run on autopilot, very rarely is it successful for them. And so I typically do not recommend that you ever run your bids on an automatic, just standard automatic strategy, because think about Google. What are they in the business of? They are in the business of getting you clicks. They don't make money if you get conversions. They only make money if you get clicks. So the point of that is clicks don't mean anything, and you'll get a lot of clicks. They don't mean anything unless they turn into conversions. So the best way, especially in the beginning, is to manually set your bids for each individual keyword. Yes, I realize this takes a lot of time and a lot of thought, but in order to tweak, even if you're raising and lowering bids, pennies here and there over the span of the entire account, it can make the difference from profitability to loss. So our recommendation always is to start manually. Don't use don't use enhanced cost per click unless you have a campaign that has been consistently picking up 50 conversions per month for at least a couple of months. Same thing with conversion optimizer. Do not use this unless you have been getting consistent conversions of at least 75, closer to 100 per month for several months. Reason being is there needs to be historical data for Google's algorithm to be able to figure these pieces out. Now, the other thing you can control is budget within a campaign. So how much do you want to spend on a daily basis, and also how fast do you want to use that budget. If you have a campaign that's set to standard and you have you have a smaller budget, Google's going to pace it to try to exhaust your budget at the stroke of midnight every night. Unfortunately, it doesn't always pan out that way. So you're going to have some different options in here. Accelerated basically means if your ad is eligible to show, Google's going to show it every single time. The problem with that is you may run out of budget earlier in the day. So these are different areas you want to think through and kind of decide based on how many other campaigns you have out there, how limited you are by budget. But typically it's good to start with accelerated. Exhaust all of your budget. Then once you get that kind of refined down, then you can start slowing it down until you get into a profitable point where you want to increase your daily budget. And you can also control geo-targeting. This is one that I see a lot of individuals make mistakes with because Google's default settings are fairly aggressive. So a lot of the time you'll get stuff that's across the world. You might be targeting Canada when you don't want to. And there can just be a lot of waste in there. And you can negative place geographic targets out. So for example, if you don't ship to a certain area, or if you're a location-based business, maybe there's a river that you don't cross service over, but it's part of the same city. There's lots of different areas you can work with here, but look at your location, your geo-targeting closely. But again, this isn't a spot that you can control a lot of your waste within the campaign level. And then also ad rotation. This is another one that I see a lot of mistakes made. By default, Google is going to have you either optimize for clicks or optimize for conversions. They sound great in theory, but all of the accounts, the hundreds, if not thousands of accounts that I've worked on, these typically don't work that great. When it comes to true A/B split testing, really you should be rotating indefinitely. What that means is that your ads that you have in your ad groups will alternate or go through. If you're doing multivariate testing, it'll go through one ad, then the next, and the next, and the next, and then start over, go to the next one. So that way you're getting a evenly distributed sample of data on your impressions. What we typically do is we like to rotate evenly for about 90 days, and then we let the system start to optimize it. That way we get a little bit larger sample of data, but more than likely we're running another split test by the time 90 days hits. Okay, and next we want to take a look at quality scores. We're going to review basically what a quality score is, the impact of quality scores, and how to improve yours. Now, I don't think we'll have time for the activity, but if you can take close notes, maybe during the call or shortly after, it's pretty critical that you know what your quality scores are, because this can be one of the greatest impacts of cost. And we'll first look at that in terms of what quality score is and how it relates to cost, and then we'll dig into a little bit more detail of what the quality score is and how to fix that. So essentially, quality score, Google's going to give you a score 1 to 10 on all of your keywords. 1 is the worst, 10 is the best. An average quality score is right about 7, and quality score is going to be affected by a lot of different things, but ultimately when we look at cost, if you are, which a lot of individuals that we see that aren't professionally managing their AdWords account, a lot of the time they'll have quality scores right around like an average of 5, if not 4. Now, what this means is they're paying 40 to 75% more for their clicks than their competitors who have a quality score of 7. So in other words, if two individuals are going for the same keyword, how does Google determine who's going to be at the top of that list? Well, it's not just the person who's willing to pay the most. It's your quality score times what your bid is, and that's going to give you ad rank. So you can see that your cost can be drastically affected. So I want to make sure that everybody's paying attention to this portion, and whether it be now or shortly after the call, let's take a look at your quality scores, get an idea, is this a concern? Are you doing well in your quality scores? If that's the case, then fantastic. If not, this is going to be some of your lowest hanging fruit that you can work on improving to bring your costs down drastically. So how does Google determine a quality score, and how do you improve it? Well, there's quite a few factors, but ultimately it boils down to just a couple of main concepts. So the first one is, are your keywords relevant to the ads that you have in that ad group? So in other words, are your keywords contained inside of your ads themselves specifically? And do those ads go to landing pages that have your keywords in them? So in other words, are your keywords relevant to what we're trying to show up for? And the strongest indicator of that is click-through rate. So in other words, if I typed in dog collars and an ad showed up that was about cat furniture, it's not really that relevant. So I, as a user, am probably not going to click on that ad. And Google sees that if an ad is picking up a lot of impressions without getting clicks, well, first off, Google's not getting paid because there's no click happening, but also it's hurting the user experience. And so they want to keep their user experience as of high quality as possible. That's why we all use Google, because if we type something in, we know that we're going to find the right answer. And even so much that a lot of users now don't even read ads. They just click on the top ad, or the ad that's closest to their mouse, or the link that's closest to their mouse. So you want to take a look at those things, and then take a look at the structure of your account and make sure that everything is relevant. So keywords are related to ads, ads are related to landing pages, and click-through rate is going to be your strong indicator of there. So this is where you want to take a note. Again, I don't think we'll have time here today, but this is how you see your quality scores. Google doesn't show you by default, so you have to go in and make a few changes. So first, you'll want to make sure that you're looking at all campaigns. Then you'll want to click on the keyword tab. Then you want to click on columns and customize columns. Then once you click on that, you'll see some additional options. You'll go to attributes and then find quality score and make sure that's added. Then you'll hit apply. Now when the screen refreshes, you'll be able to see a new column, probably over on the far right side, that's going to show you your quality scores. So make sure that you've got at least a 7. If not, it's a pretty big red flag because your cost is being affected fairly substantially. But if you're doing well, then fantastic. So it's hard to get a quality score of 10. It's not unheard of. If you have 8s, 9s, and 10s, you have a really healthy account. So make sure that you do take some time to do that. We're going to skip over this slide here quickly because, again, we don't want to take too much time. This is an activity you guys can do. But do take a couple of notes here really quick. An average score is 7. If you're at an average of 6, you're paying 16% more. 5, you're paying 40% more. 4, you're paying 75% more. If you're at 3, it just starts to become so painful, you just need to get it fixed immediately. Now let's move on to A/B ad split testing. So A/B ad split testing, ultimately what this means is in every ad group, you want to have 2 to 4 ads running at the same time. Now this is an example here of a poorly structured ad group and ads next to each other. As you can see, there were 3 ads that were created, but currently only 1 ad is running. The problem with this is yes, we have strong click-through rates, but how do we not know that we can't do better? Because we're not actively testing anything else against it. There's no way to really improve, so we're just assuming that this is the best that it can get. Well, it's hard to believe that that's the best it's going to get or that it will sustain at that level. So 4 can sometimes be overwhelming, so we always recommend, at least 2, 3 is somewhat ideal. Now let me show you a little bit different example of one that they are running 2 ads simultaneously, but the problem is they have set it up and then they've neglected to go in and look at the data and re-optimize. So for example, the top one here, they've picked up 14 conversions at $31.34, whereas the other one that is still running and still picking up impressions is converting. It only picked up 3 conversions, but the cost is a lot more. So why would we continue to spend money on this one where it's had plenty of time to prove itself? Really what should happen is this ad should be shut off. The one on top that's performing better should be copied, replicated with a small tweak. So we can have a small controlled experiment and let that run against the one that's performing well and see if you can beat those numbers. Bring that cost per conversion down, increase click-through rates, increase conversions, and overall performance. So that's how you run an A/B split test. This is something you always want to be doing. You don't want to cut them off too soon. So once you get several thousand of impressions, that's usually a good indication that you've had enough data to be able to determine a winner. Now, keywords, what we're going to review here is what is ideal for a number of keywords per ad group, what are the different types of match types, and also how to build out and what to look for when it comes to negative keywords. So ideally, in an ad group, you really don't want more than about 5 keywords. Reason being is because, again, remember thinking back to our quality score, we want high relevancy from our keywords to our ads to our landing pages. If you have too many keywords, they can only trigger our 2, 3, or 4 ads that we're talking about when it comes to split testing. And if you have too many keywords, it makes it hard to keep that relevancy really close. So in this example, this is a good example of closely themed keywords that all of these keywords are inside of the ad copy. So personalized dog collars, personalized collars for dogs, customized dog collars. You'll find all of that inside of here, and they're all highly related to the ad copy, and all these are going to be able to go to a landing page. You guess that probably it's about personalized dog collars. Now, looking at this example a little bit further, here's some bad keywords that I see would be a mistake that somebody could make very easily. They may add some additional keywords into that ad group, such as pet collars, personal cat accessories, puppy collars, and unique braided leashes. So you might be thinking, well, puppy collar, well, that's highly related. It's a dog collar, right? Well, the word puppy is not in here, even though you and I can agree that puppy is a young dog. If the word is not in the ad, it's going to hurt your quality score because Google doesn't see that as relevant. So make sure that all of your keywords are extremely closely related. A lot of individuals we help, they have literally hundreds of keywords inside of their ad groups. What that means is you need to trim out a lot of the waste and or restructure those ad groups, build out a lot more ad groups so that you have just a few ads in each of those ad groups and only pull in the keywords that are going to be highly related there. Now, match types, this is another super common mistake that we see made. What we're going to focus on is only broad match, phrase match, and exact match. So broad match, basically what that means is you put in a keyword and you tell Google it's okay for them to match synonyms or similar ideas. So for example, men's formal shoes. If that were a keyword of yours, potentially you could show up for women's shoe. So again, think if you have a website that's selling men's formal shoes. If someone types in women's shoe and your ad shows up, heaven forbid someone clicks on it, well, they're going to go to your website and they're going to be looking for women's shoes, but you only sell men's formal shoes. Not a good way to go. You could potentially show up for formal dresses. You're not selling dresses. Men's flip-flops. You're not selling flip-flops. And horseshoes. Completely off. Sure, there's the word shoe in there, but you're not doing horseshoes. So that's how broad match works. It's really broad and loose, and you're relying on Google to match your searchers or users' intent based on the keyword that you have there. Now, to get that in a little bit better control, you can use phrase match. So going back to our example, men's formal shoes, if it's a phrase match, what that means is the words men's, formal, and shoes all need to be in that user's search query, but there can be something at the beginning or there could be something at the end. So for example, cheap men's formal shoes in Miami could be triggered if somebody typed that in. Your keyword men's formal shoes could show up. Still highly relevant, but unless you're not in Miami or maybe you're selling high-end, so cheap wouldn't be a good keyword there, but it definitely puts it much more closer to what you're targeting. Now, exact match is going to be exactly, if your keyword is men's formal shoes, someone has to type in exactly men's formal shoes. This seems like this would be a great idea. The only problem is it's very hard for a human to come up with every variant that is out there that you would want to show up for. So if you do all exact match, the problem you may run into is you may be limiting yourself with additional exposure that's out there to be able to grow your business and also to be able to pick up some really cheap clicks. Because exact match, typically you're going to pay a little bit more for those types of clicks. Now, when it comes to negative keywords, going back to our example of broad match keywords, men formal shoes, what you want to do is through your search terms, you want to identify what is a keyword that we would just never want to show up for. So in our example, if we had a men's formal shoes store, anytime someone types in women's of any sort, doesn't matter if it's dresses or shoes or anything like that, if someone types in women's, we don't want that to show up. So this would be a great example of a negative keyword. So women's shoes, formal dresses, anytime the word dresses is in a search query, we wouldn't want to show up there either. Man's flip-flops, so that way if somebody typed in rubber flip-flops or Hawaiian flip-flops, if we have a negative keyword of flip-flops, none of those will show up because we're telling Google anytime flip-flops is in that search term, we don't want to show up at all. Same thing with horses. So negative keywords, the examples here would be women's would be a great negative keyword, dresses, flip-flops, and horse would all be negative keywords you'd want to implement. Now, where this is found in your AdWords account is down at the very bottom. When you go to your keyword tab, down at the very bottom, there's a little spot. Google hides this away really well. It says negative keywords. You have to hit the plus to expand it, and then you can add them to an ad group or you can add them to the campaign level, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. To get this wrapped up, I realize we're a few minutes over, so bear with me for about the next 5 minutes. We should have everything wrapped up. So I want to review search terms, what those are, and this is the other area where you can find some really great low-hanging fruit in addition to your quality scores. So search terms, what they are is thinking back to our broad match keywords, right? So there were different examples that potentially different things can trigger or different search queries can trigger for a keyword. So this is where you can find a lot of waste. Again, this will be another activity that if we don't have time right now, take close notes on this so that you can do it shortly after the call here, because you'll want to review this. What a search term is that this is what somebody is typing in specifically into their browser. So even if they made a typo, you'll be able to see that. You'll also be able to see which keyword was triggered, so you can look at the search terms and evaluate, is that really something that you wanted to pay for? And if you find that there's a lot of waste in there, well, you need to build out your negative keywords. You may need to change the structure of your keyword match types. You may need to change the ad copy and refine your ad groups down a little bit so that they're a little bit more highly related. But what you want to do is make sure you're looking at all campaigns for the first step. Second step, you'll want to click on the keyword tab. Now this time, instead of columns, what you're going to click on is details. A little box will drop down. Then at the top there, it'll say search terms. Click on all. What that's going to do is it's going to refresh the screen, and you're going to be able to see, I realize this portion's a little bit small for you, but what this says over on the left side is search terms. So again, these are not keywords. These are terms that people typed into their browser for your keywords to trigger. So you have paid for these. The best way to look at this typically is to sort by cost, so you can get an idea of what are you spending the most on, and is there anything in there that you really do not want to be spending money on. So make sure you're looking at the date range. Probably look at a 30 or a 90-day sample, depending on how many clicks you have and how much you've been spending during that time period. But this is another great area. Spend some time in your search terms. This should be something you should be doing every single optimization, making sure that you're getting relevant search terms based on the keywords that you have input. Identify your negative keywords. You can also use this with conversion tracking. You can identify winners. So you may find a search term that you had never even thought of, and you can now implement that as a new keyword in a new ad group and be able to drive costs down even further that way. So to recap this real quick, again, we reviewed the case study. We saw great results just within a short period. We did look over a 6-month period, but the results happened nearly immediately by implementing the things that we've gone over today, which is conversion tracking. Make sure that you have your data clean and clear so that you can optimize appropriately. Make sure you have a solid account structure so that you can see that data. You can run A/B split tests. You have highly relevant keywords to your ads that are going to relevant landing pages. All of that's going to affect your quality scores. So make sure you are looking at your quality scores, because this affects your cost quite drastically, as we looked at. And then also make sure you're always A/B split testing your ads, because this is where it brings in that human element touch, and also you can experiment with different types of ad copy that you're going to put into the description or headlines of your text or of your ads. And also we looked at a few different keyword strategies as well, as far as different match types, what you can implement there, and also how to review your search terms. So I appreciate, again, everybody's time today. Again, my name is Evan Van Dyke. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or even call me directly. You can see the number here as well. I'll leave this up for just a moment. So if you have any questions about today's call, I'm happy to answer any additional questions that you may have around how to optimize your AdWords account. Then also, we want to extend an offer for anybody who is interested in taking their AdWords to the next level, but just might not have enough time to be able to manage the account themselves, and you need a little additional help. So there's going to be a link right down here at the bottom that you can schedule a 10-minute discovery call with, it would either be with myself or one of our other senior marketing consultants, to jump on the phone for about 10 minutes. We're pretty picky on the types of clients that we do work with. We're always happy to help anybody that we can, but the discovery call is basically to kind of identify if we would be a good fit to work together, and to really see if we can help you. So we'll leave that up here for just a moment, but again, I appreciate everybody's time. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, feel free to click on the link and we can schedule a quick call and go from there. So I wish everybody the best of luck and have a great day.